Hello and welcome to the World Changemaker podcast, where we have engaging conversations with everyone from entrepreneurs to advocates. I'm your host, Cinnamon Alvarez. Be ready to get inspired because our guest today is going to share their story, insights, and golden nuggets with us about how they're making a meaningful difference in people's lives and in our communities. If you like what you hear today, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, leave us a review. So, hello, Jessica. Thank you for joining me today. We are going to interview Jessica T. Moore, who I say is an amazing example of a world change maker making a difference through the work she does. So the first thing, Jessica, if you don't mind, just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So, as you mentioned, my name is Jessica T. Moore. I am an author and I'm also a business owner. I'm a mom and I'm a wife. So, that's pretty much who I am.
Yay. So tell us more about your work, specifically in your business, and
Okay.
and why you do this.
So, I am a social worker. I work with children with disabilities as well as children who are aging out of the foster care system. And I started my journey like 10 years ago. As a volunteer, just offering, my help with local agencies and different things like that. After that, I ended up finishing my degree to become a social worker. And then that's when I decided I wanted to make my own difference by starting my agency. So, my company is called Atlanta Youth Services, and we contract with multiple districts and counties throughout the state of Georgia, offering services. And then from that, when I began to work with teenagers who were aging out of foster care, primarily those with behavior concerns and also homeless teenagers, I started to see a trend that a lot of them didn't have anything but like the clothes on their backs. So I founded my nonprofit, which is called Lead Our Teens, and it's a duffel bag initiative to be able to help the teenagers by at least giving them a duffel bag. If they don't have anything else, at least have a duffel bag, because a lot of people they are familiar with foster care. It's a lot of children who have trash bags or whatever they have, like grocery bags, trash bags, and different things like that. So that's kind of how I ended up founding and Lead Our Teens. So yeah, so that's pretty much. I hope that answered the question.
I mean, I could ask you so many questions, but I also wanted a little bit of background too about being an author. Tell us
Mhm.
more about that.
Yeah, so I'm the visionary author of Embracing Imperfections, which is it's a global movement for women who have experienced trauma. A lot of the women in my books, they aged out of foster care. I met a lot of them through my initiative, my own podcast. And basically they told their stories. I had people who were previous like drug addicts and now they're drug therapists. So it's basically stories of women who have overcome obstacles on their journey to becoming the best version of themselves. And when I first decided to become an author, I started writing my book and I was like, I don't have the time. I can't do this on my own. I know I wanted to become an author, but I was like, realistically, I cannot sit down and write a book. And so that's when I ended up reaching out to everybody who had been a guest on my podcast. You got to use what you got, you know? So I reached out to everybody and 32 women responded yes. And that's how I started volume one. And then from that, it was some women who missed it and they were like, oh my gosh, when are you doing it again? And I actually wasn't. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it again. So yeah, so from that I ended up doing volume two, and then I did volume three, and we ended that with a live event. And so women came from all over the world. to this live event that I did in Atlanta to celebrate and to just be able to tell their stories and their journeys. And then after that, I was like, okay, now that I've compiled all these books and I started helping other people do their own compilation books to grow their brands, I was like, okay, now I can take all my stories that I've put in these books, put them together, and then make my own book. So one of my chapters is actually called Girl Fix Your Crown, and I turned that into a full book, like a memoir of my first 30 years of life. So
It's just so amazing. So one of my intentions is I want to inspire people. You're such a go-getter. Like you just come across as being unstoppable and you're doing it. But business gets tough, I think. I think business gets tough. I think that people sometimes the struggle of keeping the business afloat becomes so much that we lose sight of why we do the work we do.
Mhm.
Now you're in fields where I think it's blatantly obvious that you're making a difference in the world and there's a need. But what else do you do to, keep that commitment and that passion alive and reaffirmed in the work that you do so that so you don't get stuck and you don't get stopped? Like, what are some of your little tips if you could just share your secrets with us?
Yeah, so I would say the biggest thing, number one, is enjoying the process and the journey of it all and not looking at it like, some people go into things and they're like, I want to be the number one this and I want to do that, but if you really learn to fall in love with the process of what you're doing, it makes a big difference. Because I don't look at the overall, and like, of course you look at it, but you don't focus on that because then you may disappoint yourself. If I was like, you know what, I want to help every single kid in America. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like if I'm focused on that and I've only helped 5 kids, then it's like I lose sight of what my vision is. So I try to, for me personally, I enjoy the process. Like I look back at things, I create small wins. What did I accomplish? What did I learn? And I really just fall in love with the journey of it all. And I don't look at I don't concentrate on the end result. I concentrate on where I am and how I can just have daily wins every day.
That's amazing. Yeah, sometimes I have to tell myself just one small step or change
Mhm.
one life is okay. Like I recently spoke to 70 high school kids. It was amazing. And
Oh,
going
congrats.
in, I said to myself, because I was really nervous, like I really want to make a difference. And I said, if I can just change one life, that's okay.
Mhm.
And next
Yeah.
thing you know, it was like a standing ovation almost. And I'm like, all 70 kids were like listening to me. How did I make that happen? So
Yes.
sharing that advice because it's tough. I
Mhm.
also wanted to highlight because I might have skipped over it a little bit, but you shared another big secret is like when you were talking about writing the book, is you didn't like for me, I feel like sometimes I have to do it all by myself and I'll get stuck in overwhelm, not knowing how. And you just reached out to community right away. So that's huge. Do you agree with me that your community has your back? And is
Yes, you have to have a community, your tribe, your people, your circle. Because we have to just understand that we can't do everything on our own. So a lot of times, even in business, I don't do anything on my own. Since I've been in business, I started off helping others, like I mentioned earlier, helping and being a part of somebody else's mission so that I can learn what I needed for my own. And so when we began to collaborate, a lot of times, just because I've spoke with a lot of women who have been hurt by their tribe, who have went through situations where it's like they feel like they don't trust people. So it does take that level of trust to be able to say like, you know what, I can't get here on my own. And just shifting that mindset from being independent, I'm gonna do everything, I'm not gonna worry about this, and really saying like, who can I help and who can be of help to me because we also have to be of value to other people. So
Mhm.
it's very important.
So this is just out of the blue, because I see a lot of business owners. A lot of people do networking and they attend
Mhm,
every conference known to man to connect, to sell their wares, right?
mhm,
Right. We business owners, we all have products and services. how do you choose your tribe, your community? Because I don't think we can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm gonna say maybe that it might be a mistake. I don't really think it's a mistake. I think getting out there is amazing, but I think I've made the mistake of doing so much work that it wasn't aligned with my business. And it took a while to really find that piece of me that I'm really passionate about workforce development specifically, and know
Mm-hmm.
that having people know that the work makes a difference. So do you have any other tips for people about, like, how do you find the right support group, the right network?
So I get what you're saying, and I feel like it's a lot of noise out here. Like the world has a
Yeah,
lot of noise and stuff
noise.
like that. And so what we had to do is just like what we did, like connect individually with people. I feel like I'm always a big advocate for podcasts. So I'm actually taking a break from my podcast right now. So I am gonna
Oh,
actually be on
really?
there when I come back to it. But I think honestly, like what you're doing with the podcasting, I found podcasting is I've been doing my podcast, and I didn't even mention it, but I've been doing my podcast since 2020. And that is like the best way, like when not as a group, but going up to people, introducing yourself, talking about what you do, asking them what they do, and then saying, hey, let's connect later. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, it's just going to be like, why did you go? You got to connect with somebody, get on a call with them or get on a podcast with them or collaborate or something like that, or all your time, like if that's your goal, then you don't want to waste that opportunity because you don't know how you can help and how others can help you. And then just like what you mentioned, you have to have some type of balance, because then you don't want to just be somebody that's like, oh, I want to collaborate with everybody, or I want to do, you know what I'm saying? So you have to have like that medium of, I'm willing to do this. I may not have time to do that, really like balance out. And then my life is in seasons. So like I have my season where I'm writing my book. I have my seasons where I'm doing my podcasting, my I'm always doing my business. So that that is never,
That's
that
not
doesn't go away.
questionable
You
at
have
all.
to know how to really like, as women in business, you have to know like when it's time to say like, okay, let's pause this for a minute. Where can I put my energy? Where should my time be going? Who should my time be going into? And different things like that. So, and then also another thing that I would say is a little secret is like every day, like I don't know, this is me, but like I just came from the gym. I intentionally go to a gym that has entrepreneurs.
Oh,
So
really?
like mostly everybody in the gym is an entrepreneur. And so now I could kill two birds with one stone. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find out how to weave
I love it.
into your life.
So let me repeat it back and make sure I'm understanding. So basically, yeah, I just had a conversation about work-life balance. So this is a beautiful example of it. I think most people kind of interpret work-life balance as work less and do other stuff more. And I'm like, no, no, no. I love my work. It is my life. But
Hmm.
the way I look at it is that if there's an area of your life that's out of balance, like if you're not taking care of your health and well-being, because we know the benefits of exercise,
Hmm.
then other things will suffer. So is it what you're telling me is that when you go to exercise, that you're like getting the most bang for your buck by making sure that that also is supporting your business by
Yes.
who you choose?
Yes, so I would say because I used to go to Planet Fitness, and then I was at Orange Theory. And it's like, Planet Fitness is very, everybody got their headphones on, they, like to
Yeah.
themselves. And then Orange Theory is not so much that, but I noticed I talk to people, like I network with people. Most of the people there are like school teachers, and stuff like that. And they're just not in the same industry as me. So it's like they connect, they have things to talk about, but it's like I didn't really fit in. And so I was like, I'm going to intentionally find spaces where it's like my tribe, like, the same way. And so now the gym that I go to, everybody there, like today, right before we got here, we was all stretching. And then somebody asked me, like, what do you do? And then I said, I work with children in foster care. Because somebody else was like, hey, it's the holidays. I want to be able to give back and stuff like that. And we had a conversation right there. Here go my website. here go how you can donate. Here's how you can, whatever. You get what I'm saying? So then it was like another woman who was a chiropractor, and she was talking about how to, like do different stretches and stuff like that to get the most benefit out of your workout. So now it's like an opportunity for me to still be able to, network, connect with people, but still like focusing on my health and my wellness and stuff like that. So you just have to learn, like I said, you have to really learn like how to balance, and it'll all like work itself out. But you have to be intentional. I'm very intentional about the spaces that I'm in.
Wow.
So yeah,
You
that was a
almost,
bonus.
so Jessica, wait, I'm going to back up a little bit to part of our other conversation is, to be honest, one of my own personal like secrets is I honor that spark of inspiration as soon as it's alive. So when we met, I wasn't compelled to interview every single person.
Mhm.
You just stood out, and I'm like, I need to talk to Jessica again. Like,
Oh.
you moved me in such a way. Now we do share like interests, right? You're serving a population that is really near and dear to my heart. But that really compelled me. But it's almost like your energy is almost like it's too good to be true. Like, do you ever have any time where you're like, I can't do this? Like, people think I'm upbeat and happy all the time, but there is a little bit sometimes of like, I'm gonna die if I do anymore.
So yeah, I mean,
Are
we
you
all
real?
have ups and downs. Like, so of course, I like even for me, like when we met, I didn't even want to come on the stage. Like, and Tigo was saying like, you gotta come. Are you gonna speak? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna speak. I'm not. Just ask me a couple questions. And so even with that, like, I'm honest about. I be having seasons where it's just like, because even when we were in Vegas, it was like I had a lot going on. I got this stuff going on with my kids. We traveling right now. We're driving an hour back and forth to therapy sessions for my son with autism. So I, of course, like as a mom and as a wife, I'm like, I be having moments where it's like, I don't feel like doing this, and like, and people depend on me. It's a lot of people depend on me, and so it's just like, but I had to just give myself permission to be, to say like it's not okay to not be okay, and then also it's okay to tell people. Like I said, I was right there, like, look, I'm just tired from getting here, and I really don't have anything to say right now. Like, just I don't even know. So yeah, so I just think that we don't have to be this picture perfect image, because people are going to appreciate us for the realness and who we are. It's too many people out there that have all the filters and have all the things, and then it's like, but they're not giving people genuine. So it's okay to say that. Like, it's okay to be like, you know what? I'm not even feeling this right now. Like, I'm not happy today, like, or whatever it is. And I think it's good. Like, you'll be fine.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking because you get a remarkable amount. You have a lot on my plate, on your plate. I don't meet as many people that have as much as or more than what I have on my plate. And when I talk to you, I think, wow, Jessica, I think might be able to run circles around me. So I feel better knowing that you're human too, and that you're able to.
Hmm.
And for anybody listening to this, it is one of my secrets too. I almost call it my confessional. Like, I just feel like whatever is there, just get it out, because you connect and you're more successful. It's like, instead of just having the noise in your head, you can get
Hmm.
it out, you can deal with it, you can be present, and then you can reconnect with your purpose and your intention and what you want to get out of it. Do you agree? Does that resonate?
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So is before, I want to ask you about what you have coming next, but before we go there, is there any other, like, if you were going to give our listeners the world on a silver platter, or we can mix it up, and if you were going to challenge them to step out of their comfort level,
Hmm.
because I believe that everyone is a gift, and I don't know if everyone really owns that. So sometimes I like to give like a cinnamon challenge too. So either one of those, like, do you want to give them something away that you think is something that you've learned through your own experience that they should practice, or do you want to challenge them?
I would say I want to encourage them to begin to stand on their stories and not in it, because
Mhm.
like you mentioned, it's so many people that aren't allowing their gifts to make room for them, that are stuck in jobs that they don't want to be in, that are worrying about, are they living out their purpose, that wake up every day, maybe not fully loving themselves. So when you begin to stand on your story and not in it, you turn your pain into your purpose and become the best version of yourself. Like, even for me, less than 15 years ago, I was a single parent, teen mom, not knowing how my life was going to look. And I had to make a decision not to be a volunteer victim and continue on to go to school, to get my degree, get married, start my business. So, like, if you don't meet nobody else, like, people can take my life for an example of how you don't have to let these things define you. So that could be a challenge. It could be encouragement. It's right here behind me. So screenshot it and read it backwards if you need to. But stand on your story, not in your story. That's what I want to leave people with.
I just love that, and I want to say it another way too. The way because I agree 100%, 100% is the things that I've experienced in my life that I would never want someone else to have to experience. I also would never give it up. Like,
Yeah.
I think they've made me so strong, and they've given me grit, and they've given me passion. um, in fact, I feel like sometimes if people have, like, I like to give things on silver platters, but if life is really going easily, almost too easy, then you don't have that same sense of meaningful purpose.
Hmm.
So I love it. And also another way to say standing on your story, not in your story, it reminds me of my husband. So when we met each other, he um he was one of those statistics, like, too early out of his divorce, and he was in counseling because he had two children and they were doing the custody back and forth. But he told me that his therapist, his counselor, told him, do you want to be in the movie or watch the movie?
Wow.
And
Mm,
so, yeah, by standing on the story, then you can, I feel like you can take the lessons learned from the experience, but
yeah.
you don't have to have it take you out of the game, define you in
Hmm.
a negative way, but instead use that as gifts, experience, exposure, makes you passionate. Like you mentioned, you have a
Hmm.
son with autism, and now
Yeah.
you're able to make a difference in that realm also. But
Yeah.
but some people don't have circumstances, I think, that are going to naturally, like, sometimes I almost feel sorry for people who don't have some form of adversity,
Mm,
have like hard circumstances that make them like want to fight. Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any advice for someone who's maybe just like feeling like, oh, I don't know, there's not an area that I'm passionate about?
I guess I would say to just, I mean, even if you're not passionate about something, you can always be a part of somebody else's plan, until you get there. But I think it's okay to acknowledge if you're not there. Like, we don't all have to be out superstars saving the world. Like, some of us are meant to be the support. So I would say I love the DISC assessment. Are you familiar with the DISC?
Yes.
I love the DISC assessment. So I would say do something like just starting with the DISC assessment, seeing what your strengths are. Like, you don't have to move forward with anything, just understanding yourself, where you are, how you got there, and then from there developing a plan, whatever that is for you. And I think, like, also it's okay to be like, you know what, like my husband, he is not an entrepreneur at all. But we run our business together. He like just give me the role and tell me what need to be done. But he's not like
He doesn't
innovative.
have to be behind the camera part.
Yeah. So like, and that's okay, and that's what works. But him being that way, like if I think about it, like if I was like an innovator and he's an innovator, when do we have time to fit into each other's plans? So also just like understanding that no matter where you fit on that disc or where you fit in life, you have a purpose. And it may not look the way you think it should look, but it's a part of a bigger picture. Because my husband is like the backbone for my agency. Because I'm just all over. I'm like a butterfly flying all over the place. And he's the one that's like, okay, do we have all the compliance paperwork in? Like, because we run in contracts and stuff. So he's the one that's sitting down doing all the things behind the scenes that nobody sees, that keeps us being able to do things like help children and advocate and different things like that.
I love it. Like my name is Cinnamon. So like I like to say, there's so many different flavors, right? You might be a butterfly when you're describing yourself. I'm visualizing myself as this superhero that sometimes is like smashing over buildings.
Yes.
That's not everybody's style. Some people
Yes.
are graceful, but love it. And yeah, awesome. So before we run out of time, how can we support you? What are you doing next, working on? Where can we find you?
Yes. So you said what?
We took your screenshot.
Oh, okay, yes. So the next thing that I'll be working on is my duffel bag initiative. Lead Our Teens. Foster Care Awareness Month is in May. So if you go to leadourteens.com, we actually have over 50 duffel bags that were donated to us after I left the event in Vegas. So yeah, I haven't even like announced that. So this is like an exclusive. So yeah, so we have over 50 duffel bags, and now we need to stuff them and give them to teenagers that are aging out of foster care. So like I said, to learn more about the duffel bag initiative, leadourteens.org is that website. And then just if anybody wants to connect with me and learn more like about my books or anything else that I'm doing for my brand, that's jessicatmoore.com. So yeah, so just be on the lookout around May.
Jessica, you can hold me accountable. I wrote down on my to-do list because I myself will support you, and I know somebody else who is passionate. We were actually just talking about it. So
oh, thank you.
I don't follow up right away. That's why I was writing off to the side as one more thing on my to-do list.
Thank you so much. So yes, that's
so
pretty much.
Thank you
That's
so
pretty
much,
much it.
Jessica. We're going to end it here. I want to thank you for everything you just shared for our listeners. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are a world change maker for sure.
Thank you.